I like to start with some key principles to which we'll come back again and again throughout this series and which will serve as guidelines for our development process. So to make things easier to understand, I have here two images which we can imagine are two very different ways of implementing the same BPM application. So each of these blue wires represents a feature requested by the user, right? So this might be a specific task, this might be some email notification, the red one might be something relating error management. So overall, let's consider both implementations have the same number of features. So for the front-end user, there might not be a big difference, right? Yet for us, the ones we deal with the backend, the developers, we could clearly say which version we prefer, right? This one is a lot cleaner, right? It's a lot easier to understand the whole application. It's a lot easier to follow each of these features by itself. It's a lot easier to handle changings, and it's a lot easier to handle maintaining, right? So if business comes to us and says, hey, we have a new business request, you would be more enthusiastic to be on this side than here, right? Here you'd say, oh, come on, are you sure you need it? We wouldn't want to push our luck, right? Trust us, this is a miracle, this works. And the idea is we all prefer to be on the right side, but unfortunately when we are beginning, we are more on the left side, right? It's a lot messier because when you start with a new technology, when you start learning about it, your focus will be actually on the capabilities of that platform, right? Let's take IBM BPM. So how exactly do I use an out-of-the-box sending service? How do I create a new coach view? How do I handle errors and so on? So we are challenged by the little details. We need more context, right? For us in this application here, making this little blue wire work, that is our victory, right? But once we become more comfortable and our understanding starts to expand, right? We start to have knowledge over all of the platform's capability, then the challenge should switch, right? It's no longer about how do I handle some implementation detail, but how do I handle the whole complexity of the application? How can I group things together so it's easier for me to maintain it? How do I group it so it's easier to handle error management, to handle auditing and all that, you know? So the design itself becomes the bigger challenge and not simply getting stuff to work. And this is where guidelines come into play, right? They should help us switch the focus from one little implementation into how to organize the overall thing, right? To help us keep the bigger picture in mind. And I have here three principles. Keep the end game in mind, improve the fundamentals, and be proactive, right? And we will discuss each of them in more detail, but the goal is to see how they can help us move from this messy project to a better organized one.